birthday to the last episode of 2023 of Brewtifully Made. And we are going into a new year, and I am dealing with a little bit of grief right now. So I'm just going to be very honest in this episode, and today's doodle is of our dog. Our dog Violet. She's 11, and we are losing her. She has liver cancer, and this has been a very bittersweet holiday, having to say goodbye. So I am doodling her and talking about how being a creative, you wear your heart on your sleeve. I feel like a lot of creative people have big emotions and deal with them through their art. And I know I do. I'm gonna miss her tremendously. She's a boxer husky, and she was the first dog my husband and I got together. She was one of 11 in a litter, and an old coworker of mine, his boxer had her, and he lost his wife to cancer. And Violet's little mama, Lucy, she also died of cancer. And it's just so hard. She's such a good girl. She's such a good dog. She's our biggest one. I think I've talked about how we have 4 dogs and 4 cats and a ton of koi. My husband is really good with animals, and she's just such a good girl. It's just so hard because your heart loves animals, and you know that their time is so much shorter than ours. And we've lost pets. We had a peekapoo in her teens, and she passed away a few years ago. And we had a ragdoll cat. She was old. She's like 16. She she passed away too. And it's always been around the holidays. Pixie passed away around Christmas as well. Daisy passed away at Halloween. Pixie, oh my. Pixie died in our arms. And we laid her down and went to go get some stuff to prepare to bury her, and walked back in the room, and she was back to life. It was the weirdest thing. And 3 months later, she did die in our arms again. And it was hard. And this one is really hard. Of course. They always are. We always had, when my girls were little, a little Pomeranian, and one of the neighborhood dogs mistook him for I guess, a groundhog, and killed him. And it was really hard. It was in front of my oldest daughter. And growing up, I personally had dogs. We weren't allowed to have them in the house. We had a lot of beagles, and they were outside, and they would get hit by a car, and just, it's just heartbreaking. And I love animals. I love having our animals. Growing up, tried to have some dogs with the girls, and they have their own pets. One daughter has a little cat, another daughter, they have a couple cats, and another daughter, she has actually our French bulldog Thor's sister. So there's a sibling with her and the boys. They have dogs. It's really hard. I deal with a lot of emotions through art. A lot of grief comes out, I think, memorializing pets. I've painted pets for people for memories. I've painted and drawn pets when people have lost pets. I've used my laser to engrave them. And, our memories, thinking back, having them are just so precious. They bring so much joy into our lives. It's so funny because, like I said, growing up, we were not to have pets in the house. My mom has such a hard time when we come home because we bring all the pets with us. I mean, I don't like to kennel them. Nothing against kenneling. I just, we have 4 dogs and then we have the cats. So I always like to try to have someone stay here at the house with our pets whenever we travel to house sit and pet sit everybody. And that usually works out pretty well. But sometimes we just take them with us. And my mom just such a hard time with them all. Oh, when my dad passed away, there was a cat that came around that night to her house. And she lives in a little village, a little town, and there are a lot of stray cats. And this one just was winding itself around her legs, and she just found comfort in this cat. And it wasn't allowed to stay in the house. But when my dad died, my youngest daughter went to live with my mom. And it really helped in that transition. And she'd bring that cat in and take it in her room to sleep. My mom ended up calling it my dad's name. And she would take it to the vet and take care of it and feed it. And it had an outside heated house. But, my daughter would still bring it in every night. And she lives kind of on a busy road, and it eventually got hit by a car. That was really hard for her. She was so attached to the cat. I was just wish she would have kept it in the house, but she didn't. Now she has another one that, she cares for, and it's outside. And it just is so good to have something to focus on for her. I know she likes taking care of that cat, which is funny, but it's comforting to me that she has a cat. It's just amazing how much joy a pet brings to your life, how much comfort, but you are their whole world. They're just so forgiving and loving. And it's just a blessing that you get to raise them. And it's just so hard when they're ill or hurt. I remember Thor, when he and his sister were here, our daughter was on her way to pick up her dog, and he jumped on his sister and broke her little bone in her elbow. And she cried, and my husband just was like, that is the worst sound I ever heard. It was so awful. And Riley had to take that poor little dog back to Seattle in a cast on an airplane. And it healed. She's a beautiful little Frenchie. But the expense. And the thing that you just want to, do to care for your animals. I think that's one of the most favorite things that I get to do whenever I create something, is when it means something to someone and helps them get through their pain, because their heart was so full with that animal there. And it's so hard to fill that void when they're gone. I just had to share how important it is to help someone grieve through being creative. It could be making them, a meal or cookies or, a picture or just listening to them reminisce about their animal, no matter what kind of animal, you know, to have the chance to love something in this world is so amazing. And it just speaks the just unconditional pureness of love. And it's just important to honor that. So I'm looking, I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking for going into the new year because I'm going to miss her. Oh, a whole bunch. Just loving our other animals, and continuing to care for them and remind them how much we love them. I know it'll be hard for them too, but you don't want them to suffer and you don't want them hurting. And we've tried to make her as comfortable and feel as loved as long as possible without going past that threshold of being selfish and just wanting her around because we don't want to let her go. It's just hard. Just really hard. It's a hard decision to make and to deal with. I know a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that. I've missed there are others that have gone, beautiful memories of them, talk about them often, and the joy they brought to our lives. We have photographs that my daughters have taken over the years with them, and art, and their little collars, things to remember them, and the funny stories and the things that they did. And don't let it deter you from having a pet either. I don't want to have to lose something, so I don't want to start those feelings. Their lives are so short. They're so little. And if you have the time and energy and ability to care for an animal, the return of that is far greater than the momentary pain it takes when their time comes to get through it, because she knows that she was loved and cared for and celebrated and went on vacation with us. And she was a good girl. And we're better for having her in our lives to teach us patience and love. So if you're creative and you have friends and family, you may lose a pet, do something sweet to help them get through it because it means a lot. If you have a business, then you can allow pets, do it. It's amazing how much that means to enjoy a moment with your pet right by you. I'm always floored how in Seattle you can take your pets almost everywhere. And it's just so funny to see them in stores and stuff around here when people have them in the stores. We're always like, oh, look. Or we'll be out at an event, a public event, and people have their pets, and it's just wonderful. I love it. But but yeah, just wanted to talk a little bit about going through that and going into a new year with our family built a little differently. So, so hard. But mm, I appreciate you listening, appreciate you being here and sharing my thoughts around my beautifully made curl. I'm sure my next episode will be a little bit more upbeat, but I couldn't pretend that everything was all peachy when it's not. And I had to be a little real today. So go into your New Year's Eve this weekend with lots of love in your heart. Make a list of things that you want to do that will share unconditional love in the new year. Make wonderful memories. Time flies so fast. Take time to make a difference in the life of somebody, some animal, yourself. Don't let it go by without, I guess, recording something in writing or a memory and pictures. Just don't let it go by so fast. Capture some moments and keep them close. I will see you next year. Thanks for being with me. Happy New Year. Lots of love. Stay beautifully made.